Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Today is Wednesday, March 31st. Thank you so much for choosing to be here for your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start first with an update on day 3 of Derek Chauvin's murder trial related to the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Now, as a reminder, Chauvin is a former Minneapolis police officer. He is charged with second-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter, and third-degree murder related to the death of George Floyd. So today we saw a former Cup Foods employee testifying that he suspected Floyd's $20 bill was counterfeit, which is the thing that sparked off this series of events, and actually offered to pay it out of his pocket. This 19-year-old former employee testified that he believed that Floyd was under the influence of something, but that Floyd was able to carry a conversation, and video shows this former employee holding up the $20 bill that he believed to be counterfeit that led to Floyd's death ultimately. Now, the employee said that he offered to pay the $20 himself, but his manager sent him out twice to talk to Floyd and then had another employee call the police. Now, Floyd's alleged drug use is expected to be a key part in Chauvin's defense. Now, today, the first person to take the stand was Minneapolis firefighter Genevieve Hansen. She was a bystander nearby on May 25th, the day that Floyd was killed. She was off duty that day, but she testified she wanted to provide medical attention to Floyd, but the police officers would not allow it. She began testifying on Tuesday. She finished on Wednesday with a single question from the defense team. They asked if she showed an ID to officers on the scene. She said no, and then the prosecution redirected and asked her if she had her ID with her, and she again said no. People also saw a new video of Floyd, which was filmed by an 18-year-old bystander who said, while getting emotional, "When I look at George Floyd, I look at my dad." Testimony will continue after a lunch break. Now, news out of Washington, D.C., there's been some talk about whether there might be a fourth stimulus check coming, while some people are still waiting for their third stimulus check. But dozens of Democrats in Congress do want President Joe Biden to consider recurring stimulus payments until the pandemic ends. Now, according to Yahoo Finance, it's 50 Democratic members of the House and 11 Democratic senators that want this, but according to Fox News and Newsweek, it's 21 senators that want this and are calling as well for extensions of unemployment insurance benefits. Now, the people who have signed on to this do include the chairs of the Finance and Budget committees. That letter, which was obtained by Fox News, reads in part, "Unemployment insurance has replaced lost income for millions who have lost their jobs, but millions of others do not qualify for unemployment insurance after seeing their hours reduced, switching to lower-paying jobs, or temporarily leaving the workforce to care for family members during the pandemic." Now, it is too early to know if this proposal for recurring payments will go anywhere, but if it does, it is likely that the income threshold for those payments will be lowered, which is something Republicans have been calling for repeatedly. On the COVID-19 vaccination front, the mass COVID vaccination site at the Summit County Fairgrounds will be opening on April 3rd, and you are able to make appointments for there now. What you need to do that is go to gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov and put in the zip code 44278. That's how you get that Summit County Fairgrounds site to come up. Now, it's expected to be open 3 to 4 days a week. They expect to be able to vaccinate 5,000 per week, and that's expected to operate for 2 months. Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers. These first numbers come from Johns Hopkins University. These are the global and the U.S. numbers. Across the world, there have now been 127,880,539 reported cases of COVID-19 and 2,796,431 deaths. Here in the U.S., we've had 30,349,019 reported COVID cases and 550,371 reported deaths. We've got 23.7% of the global cases right now and 19.6% of the deaths, which is down 1 percentage point. According to Ohio Department of Health, the latest Ohio numbers, we've seen 1,989 new reported cases in the last 24 hours, with 108 new hospitalizations in the last day. That's down a bit from yesterday. There are 978 people who are currently in the hospital, and 250 of those people are in the ICU, and we've seen 13 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. Talking about the vaccinations again, the number of people who have completed the vaccination process in Ohio is almost 17% of our population. That's more than 1.9 million people, and almost 40,000 more people have completed that process in the last day. There's a lot of people who have started it as well, almost 29% of our population, and that's almost 3.4 million people, and almost 65,500 have started it in the last day. Now let's take a look at local politics. The question that a lot of people have been asking is Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson considering running for a fifth term? Now, he hasn't said whether he would seek what would be an unprecedented fifth term in office. He also hasn't raised any money for the race this year, and he hasn't participated in any interviews led by business leaders that are vetting potential mayoral candidates. This is reporting from our 3 News investigator, Mark Namick. But Norm Edwards, who is head of the Black Contractors Group, endorsed Jackson for a fifth term today. This was in an email sent to reporters and elected officials, and he said he planned to start raising money for Jackson soon. Now, Edwards tells 3 News that Jackson told him in an hour-long conversation on Tuesday evening that he is running. According to Edwards, the mayor said he wants to see more housing developed on the city's east side and finish other initiatives that have been put on hold because of the pandemic. Edwards says that he thinks Jackson could raise $1 million in days if he wanted to. Now, Cleveland City Hall did not respond to questions about Edwards' claims, but Jackson told Cleveland.com today that he hasn't decided whether he's running and that Edwards misread that conversation. But Edwards told 3 News Jackson was clear that he's running. Former Cleveland Councilman Zach Reed, who lost to Jackson in the general election, is running again, so that's one of his competitors should he choose to run again. Former Mayor Dennis Kucinich is also thinking about running. Jackson, Kucinich, and Reed are at the top of recent polls that are circulating among campaigns. Cleveland Council President Kevin Kelly, who is a longtime ally of Jackson, has raised more than $500,000 for a mayoral bid, but he hasn't formally announced whether he will actually run. And nonprofit executive Justin Bibb is also running. He's raised several $100,000, and he's spent months connecting with key civic and religious leaders, and he told 3 News earlier this year that he is running whether Jackson decides to run again or not. We have news today out of the Cleveland baseball camp. The Tribe will not allow headdresses and painted faces at games this season. The team said in a release announcing this new policy today, quote, abusive or inappropriate language or conduct deemed disorderly, unruly, or disruptive, including inappropriate dress, may constitute grounds for ejection or refusal of admission. This includes headdresses and face paint styled in a way that references or appropriates American Indian cultures and traditions. Inappropriate or offensive images, words, dress, or face paint must be covered or removed, and failure to do so may constitute grounds for ejection or refusal of admission. And that's the latest policy from the Tribe. Now let's take a look at their 2020 batting lineup. These are projections. This is from our 3 News sports analyst, Ben Axelrod. It seems like the Tribe has things pretty ironed out when they're against those right-handed starting pitchers. First up would be Ben Gamel, second Cesar Hernandez, third Jose Ramirez, followed by Eddie Rosario, Franmil Reyes, and Josh Naylor, and with Jake Bowers, Roberto Perez, and Andre Jimenez bringing up the rear. Now, that lineup has 7 left-handed or switch-hitting hitters in it. Now, while the lineup is pretty solid against the right-handed pitchers, that's against the right-handed pitchers, what will happen against the left-handed pitchers has a little bit more leeway for wiggling around there. And the team, notably, is still working on getting Ahmed Rosario reps in center field after he transitioned from playing shortstop with the New York Mets. So that's a factor there. If you want to take a look at that, go ahead to WKYC.com and our WKYC app and check that out from Ben Axelrod. One more thing to let you know before we go. Yes, we do know that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame contenders have been listed. We know the nominees, and one of those is DEVO, which was formed in Akron in 1973. So Akron has declared tomorrow, April 1st, this is not a joke, as DEVO Day in honor of the band trying to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mayor Dan Horrigan proclaimed that because of that, it will be DEVO Day on April 1st in Akron. And as of this morning, DEVO holds 8th place in the fan vote, by the way. So there will be an entire month-long promotion pushing DEVO, trying to get people to vote for DEVO in that fan vote for the Rock Hall induction. And as part of that, there will be 50 Energy Dome tiger sculptures that are red and inspired by DEVO's iconic red hats that will just be popping up throughout Akron, and they'll have a sign with a QR code to take fans to the site where they can vote. Another thing the city of Akron is doing, life-size cutouts of the band will be placed in the downtown Akron corridor. This will be along a storefront window interactive experience at the Bowery with a devotional video. Gotta love that. Oh, I just love a good pun. That'll feature Mayor Horrigan, Jack Black, Fred Armisen, and Tony Hawk, and they are asking fans to share their support using hashtag #DeVote on social media. Oh, so many good puns there. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update for Wednesday, March 31st. I'll see you next up on What's New with your trending stories in Clicking in Cleveland. You're not going to want to miss that because we have a special surprise that a viewer sent in showing signs of spring. So make sure you catch that. You can catch that on the WKYC app. You can also catch it on your WKYC app on Roku and your Fire TV applications. All right, I'll see you there at 5 p.m. I'll be back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now. Between now and then, everybody stay safe and be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.